Chasing a woman is discouraged because it often lowers your perceived value, leads to inauthentic behavior, and can damage your self-respect and emotional health. Relationships work best when interest and effort are mutual, not one-sided. Respect and attraction dynamics. A woman cannot be truly attracted to someone she doesn't respect, and excessive chasing undermines that respect. Instead of chasing, demonstrate value by living purposefully, being content with oneself, and letting genuine connections form through shared interest and effort. Overall, chasing a woman is seen as counterproductive, both for personal growth and in building healthy relationships. Mutual respect and reciprocated interest are the foundations of meaningful romantic connections. Chasing a woman is discouraged because it often lowers your perceived value, leads to inauthentic behavior, and can damage your self-respect and emotional health. Relationships work best when interest and effort are mutual, not one-sided. Psychological and emotional impact. Chasing someone typically means pursuing a person who isn't equally invested, which can lead to emotional frustration and diminished self-worth. Persistently chasing may subcommunicate neediness, lack of options, and social inexperience, diminishing attraction and respect. Respect and attraction dynamics. A woman cannot be truly attracted to someone she doesn't respect, and excessive chasing undermines that respect. People value partners who maintain independence and self-confidence, not those who are overly available or desperate for validation. Effects on relationship quality. If only one person is investing time and energy, the relationship is imbalanced. This dynamic often leads to emotional unhealthiness or attracts partners who thrive on validation but lack genuine interest. True connection requires mutual desire and effort. Chasing someone not interested leads to disappointment and wasted energy. What works better? Focusing on self-development, personal goals, and authentic interactions increases attractiveness naturally. Instead of chasing, demonstrate value by living purposefully, being content with oneself, and letting genuine connections form through shared interest and effort. Overall, chasing a woman is seen as counterproductive, both for personal growth and in building healthy relationships. Mutual respect and reciprocated interest are the foundations of meaningful romantic connections. Chasing a woman can have significant psychological and emotional consequences for both individuals involved. The process is often marked by anxiety, insecurity, emotional emptiness, and disrupted intimacy, and it may even lead to obsession or destructive patterns in relationships. Chronic anxiety and insecurity. When one persistently pursues a woman who isn't reciprocating interest, it often leads to a state of unending anxiety and insecurity. Constantly waiting for a message or sign of interest induces questions such as, "Why isn't she texting back?" Or, "Is she seeing someone else?" This persistent uncertainty creates a roller coaster of emotions, where feelings of hope are routinely dashed by disappointment. Over time, this can undermine confidence and self-worth, making social interactions and future relationships more stressful and less enjoyable. Decreased self-esteem and self-respect. The repeated experience of rejection, indifference, or lack of reciprocation chips away at a person's self-esteem. Chasing someone who isn't invested often signals low self-worth. Individuals may compromise their own needs, boundaries, and values in pursuit of another's affection. This inauthentic behavior leads not only to feelings of inadequacy, but also to a broader pattern of dependency where happiness is contingent upon validation from others. Emotional emptiness and lack of fulfillment. A common consequence of chasing women is emotional emptiness. Achievement of the desired outcome, such as a date or hookup, is often followed by a feeling of hollowness or dissatisfaction. This is rooted in the pursuit of fantasy or dopamine rather than meaningful connection. The emotional highs of the chase rarely translate into actual contentment. Instead, people find themselves collecting fleeting experiences that lack genuine emotional weight, making it difficult to recall details or feel truly satisfied. Disruption of genuine intimacy. Focusing excessively on chasing women blocks opportunities for forming real intimacy. The pursuit is typically goal-oriented, prioritizing conquest over connection. In this process, emotional sharing, vulnerability, and genuine conversations take a back seat to superficial interaction. Over time, this superficiality results in a series of transient, shallow relationships and missed chances for building deeper bonds built on trust, mutual understanding, and shared emotional experiences. Development of unhealthy attachments and obsessive patterns. Chasing can reflect and reinforce unhealthy attachment styles, particularly anxious attachment. Individuals who grew up in inconsistent or neglectful environments learn to constantly pursue love, seeking validation and approval to soothe feelings of unworthiness. This dynamic often leads to obsession and a loss of emotional autonomy, as attention and energy become fixated on winning someone's affection at the expense of personal well-being. This is further intensified by social reinforcement of competitive dating, where perceived desirability is equated to conquest rather than compatibility. Boundary violations and emotional harm to others. Chasing someone without mutual interest can also cause emotional distress to the person being pursued. In some cases, persistent pursuit may cross boundaries and escalate into harassment, causing discomfort, anxiety, and even fear in the target. Relationships founded on imbalance rarely thrive. A healthy romantic bond requires mutual interest, boundaries, and respect. When these are ignored, emotional harm and resentment follow, often resulting in outright rejection and dissolution of any potential relationship. Loss of purpose and neglect of personal goals. Those who make chasing women their primary focus may neglect crucial aspects of their own lives, including personal development, career, and meaningful relationships. This misalignment leads to stagnation and diminishes long-term life satisfaction, as the chase becomes a distraction from self-growth and the pursuit of intrinsic goals. In summary, the act of chasing a woman fosters anxiety, erodes self-esteem, blocks intimacy, and perpetuates unhealthy attachment patterns, ultimately leaving individuals emotionally empty and unfulfilled. Creating genuinely satisfying and healthy relationships requires mutual respect, authenticity, and a strong sense of self, qualities that chasing undermines at every turn. Persistently chasing someone, especially in romantic contexts, sends powerful and often unintended signals, subcommunications, that can negatively influence how the pursuer is perceived and how the relationship unfolds. These subtle messages affect both attraction and respect, which are critical ingredients in successful partnerships. Signals of neediness and low self-worth. When a person continually chases another who is not reciprocating interest, it implicitly communicates neediness. This signals to the pursued individual that the pursuer may lack options or confidence, suggesting a lower social or personal value. Such a perception can diminish attraction because people generally find confidence and independence appealing traits. Persistent pursuit often aligns with an anxious or insecure mindset that overshadows authentic behavior. The more one chases, the stronger the message that the pursuer's self-esteem depends heavily on the approval or attention of the other person. This dependency can undermine the pursuer's sense of self-respect and allure, making the interaction less about mutual connection and more about validation seeking. Impression of desperation and over-availability. Subcommunication through persistent chasing can also translate as desperation or over-availability. When someone invests disproportionate time, energy, and emotional resources while the interest isn't reciprocated, it appears as if they are excessively eager or desperate for affection. This eagerness often weakens attraction since many people value partners who lead balanced lives and maintain their independence emotionally and socially. Desperation can inadvertently push the other person away because it creates an imbalance in the relationship dynamics, where one participant holds outsized control or focus, which can feel suffocating or unattractive. Lack of authenticity and boundaries. Persistent chasing may also subcommunicate a lack of authenticity and respect for personal boundaries. If a person repeatedly ignores signals of disinterest or politely expressed boundaries, it implies disregard for the other person's autonomy. This behavior can be perceived as manipulative or overbearing, generating discomfort rather than closeness. It conveys a message that the pursuer values their desire more than the feelings and limits of the other, which is detrimental for building trust and respect. Cornerstones of meaningful relationships. Reinforcement of imbalanced power dynamics. Chasing in excess can suggest an imbalance in power within the potential relationship. The pursuer often appears to be in a lower position, constantly striving to earn the favor or affection of the other. This dynamic subcommunicates that the relationship is not mutually equitable, and that the pursuer may be willing to compromise heavily or acquiesce. Over time, this imbalance can breed resentment or a lack of genuine respect from the pursued party, as genuine romantic bonds rely on mutual appreciation and reciprocity. Without these, the pursuer risks being perceived as less than a partner, a role model, or equal, and more as someone merely seeking approval. Emotional instability and attachment patterns. Finally, persistent chasing subcommunicates emotional instability and insecure attachment patterns. This can cause the pursued individual to view the pursuer as emotionally needy or volatile, undermining trust and the perception of emotional security. Relationships thrive on stability and emotional safety. When persistent chasing highlights instability, it makes it harder to foster closeness and long-term commitment. It signals to others that the pursuer might struggle to regulate emotions or to maintain healthy interpersonal boundaries in the future. In conclusion, persistent chasing sends subtle but powerful messages that impact attraction, respect, and relationship dynamics. It often signals neediness, desperation, and a lack of authenticity or respect for boundaries, while reinforcing unhealthy power imbalances and emotional instability. These subcommunications work against the foundation of healthy relationships, which rest on mutual respect, genuine interest, and emotional balance. Recognition of these subtle signals can help individuals approach relationships more mindfully, fostering connections based on equality, authenticity, and mutual desire. Respect and attraction are fundamental elements in romantic relationships, intricately linked and mutually reinforcing. Understanding their dynamics helps explain why respect is crucial for genuine attraction and why chasing someone often undermines both. Respect as the foundation of attraction. Respect is a core emotional response that reflects admiration for qualities such as confidence, integrity, and self-worth. It sets the tone for how individuals value each other beyond superficial traits. Without respect, true attraction rarely develops or sustains. People are naturally drawn to those who respect themselves and others, conveying strength and emotional stability. When respect is absent or diminished, attraction tends to wane, often replaced by indifference or even disdain. Impact of chasing on respect. Chasing someone excessively generally lowers respect from the pursued party. This happens because relentless pursuit can signal insecurity, desperation, or lack of self-control, all of which detract from an image of autonomy and strength. Instead of appearing confident, the pursuer may seem needy or overly dependent on external validation. Such behavior suggests a diminished sense of self-worth, which negatively affects how attractive they appear. Respect often requires boundaries, and when those are ignored through persistent chasing, it results in reduced admiration and distance rather than closeness. Attraction built on mutual effort and interest. Healthy attraction grows from a balance of give and take, where both individuals show interested and willingness to engage. This mutual energy fosters emotional safety and excitement, creating a positive feedback loop that deepens connection. When one person pursues relentlessly without reciprocity, it shifts the dynamic into imbalance, where interest is one-sided. This often stifles attraction because it feels less like a natural connection and more like pressure or obligation. Confidence, independence, and magnetic appeal. Confidence and independence are highly attractive qualities closely tied to respect. People who maintain their own lives' values and emotional boundaries project authenticity and self-assurance. This magnetic appeal is often undermined by chasing because it communicates neediness and loss of control. Attraction thrives when both parties feel free and valued equally, not when one is perceived as trying too hard or overly available. Respecting autonomy builds strong bonds. Respecting a potential partner's autonomy, acknowledging their feelings, limits, and pace, is essential for building lasting bonds. It signals maturity and emotional intelligence, qualities that foster trust and genuine connection. Conversely, chasing can erode these foundations by introducing imbalance, pressure, and emotional discomfort. In summary, respect is essential to attraction because it signals strength, confidence, and mutual value. Excessive chasing damages respect by conveying dependency and ignoring boundaries, which weakens attraction. Healthy relationships depend on balanced mutual interest, confidence, and respect for autonomy, laying the groundwork for lasting, meaningful connections. The quality of a romantic relationship hinges on mutual respect, balanced effort, clear communication, and emotional reciprocity. Persistent chasing, where one person disproportionately pursues the other, can deeply affect these critical factors, often leading to diminished relationship satisfaction and long-term challenges. Imbalance of effort and emotional investment. One of the most immediate effects of persistent chasing is an imbalance in effort and emotional investment. When one partner is constantly pursuing and the other remains passive or indifferent, the relationship dynamic becomes lopsided. This imbalance fosters feelings of frustration and resentment in the pursuer, who may feel undervalued or taken for granted. Conversely, the pursued partner may feel pressured or overwhelmed, as the intensity of the pursuit can feel intrusive rather than inviting. Over time, this unequal distribution of emotional labor creates a toxic environment where one partner's needs dominate while the others are neglected. Erosion of authentic connection. Healthy relationships grow from genuine, two-way connection, grounded in shared values, interests, and emotional intimacy. Excessive chasing tends to prioritize conquest over connection, emphasizing winning affection rather than fostering understanding or vulnerability. This goal-oriented behavior can stifle emotional openness and prevent the development of trust. A relationship that lacks authentic connection is vulnerable to miscommunications, misunderstandings, and emotional distance, which degrade overall quality. Increased risk of rejection and emotional pain. Persistent chasing heightens the risk of rejection, which can be emotionally injurious to the pursuer. Repeated rejection may reinforce feelings of inadequacy and hurt, diminishing self-esteem and creating emotional turmoil. This emotional distress not only harms the individual, but can perpetuate negative relational patterns, including insecurity and jealousy, further undermining the relationship's foundation. Additionally, persistent pursuit can lead to avoidant behavior on the part of the pursued partner, who may retreat emotionally or physically, exacerbating the cycle of disconnection. Undermining boundaries and respect. Chasing someone who is uninterested can lead to boundary violations which damage respect, the cornerstone of healthy relationships. Boundaries delineate personal limits and comfort zones. Ignoring them through relentless pursuit undermines the autonomy and dignity of the other person. Without mutual respect for boundaries, trust breaks down, and the relationship risks becoming coercive or controlling, which can escalate into emotional abuse or manipulation. Attraction and relationship longevity. Balanced attraction often depends on a sense of mystery, autonomy, and mutual pursuit. When one partner chases excessively, it can kill attraction by creating dependency or desperation. Consequently, the relationship may suffer from stagnation or early dissolution because one-sided dynamics are unsustainable. Relationships founded on equality and mutual desire are more likely to endure and flourish because both parties feel valued and free to express themselves authentically. Better alternatives for relationship health. Focusing on self-growth, authenticity, and emotional availability often leads to healthier relationships than persistent chasing. When both individuals are confident and secure in themselves, mutual attraction develops naturally through shared experiences and genuine interest. Practicing patience and respecting reciprocity creates a foundation that encourages openness, trust, and long-term commitment. In essence, persistent chasing negatively impacts relationship quality by creating imbalance, eroding authenticity, increasing emotional pain, undermining boundaries, and diminishing attraction. Relationships anchored in mutual respect, equitable effort, and emotional safety are fundamentally stronger and more rewarding. Recognizing and avoiding the pitfalls of chasing paves the way for healthier, more satisfying romantic connections. Persistent chasing in relationships largely diminishes relationship quality by creating imbalance, reducing authenticity, and increasing emotional distress. When one partner invests disproportionate energy and effort while the other remains passive or distant, frustration and resentment build, undermining mutual appreciation. This lopsided effort fosters exhaustion and feelings of being undervalued in the pursuer, while the pursued may feel pressured or overwhelmed, straining relationship dynamics. An excessive chase often prioritizes the goal of winning affection over genuine connection, leading to superficial interactions rather than emotional intimacy. This stifles trust and openness, essential pillars for relationship satisfaction. Repeated rejection during chasing can also inflict emotional pain, lowering self-esteem and causing insecurity, which further complicates relationship health. Moreover, ignoring boundaries in the pursuit damages respect, a foundation for trust and emotional safety in partnerships. Chasing behavioral patterns can kill attraction by signaling neediness or desperation, causing imbalance and loss of mutual desire. Long-term relationship success is more likely when interest and effort are reciprocated equally, allowing both partners to maintain autonomy and authenticity. Focusing on self-growth instead of chasing fosters healthier connections based on trust, respect, and shared emotional investment. In summary, persistent chasing disrupts relationship quality by promoting imbalance, emotional distress, boundary violations, and loss of attraction. Strong relationships rely on mutual respect, reciprocity, and emotional safety, all compromised by chasing dynamics. Prioritizing authenticity and balanced effort leads to more fulfilling and enduring romantic bonds. Building and sustaining healthy romantic relationships requires approaches that foster mutual respect, authentic connection, and emotional balance. Instead of chasing someone through relentless pursuit, which often backfires, there are more effective strategies that encourage attraction, improve relationship quality, and support personal well-being. Focus on self-development and confidence. One of the most effective ways to attract a meaningful partner is through self-development. Investing time and effort in personal growth, such as pursuing goals, honing skills, cultivating hobbies, and improving physical and mental health, boosts confidence and self-respect. Confidence is inherently attractive because it signals emotional stability, independence, and an authentic sense of worth. When individuals demonstrate that they value themselves and their lives, they naturally emit a magnetic quality that draws others toward them. This type of attraction is less about superficial qualities and more about integrity and emotional strength. Developing confidence also protects against the emotional pitfalls of chasing. When self-worth does not depend on external validation, individuals are less likely to experience anxiety or desperation in romantic pursuits. This mindset leads to healthier interpersonal dynamics, where interest flows naturally rather than through pressure or manipulation. Cultivate authentic connections. Rather than focusing solely on getting someone's attention or validation, prioritizing authentic emotional connections builds deeper and more fulfilling relationships. This requires vulnerability, openness, and genuine interest in the other person's thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Meaningful interactions that foster trust and empathy create a foundation for intimacy that outlasts the excitement of initial attraction. Authenticity means presenting oneself honestly, without pretense or over-eagerness. It also involves respecting the other's boundaries and pace, allowing relationships to grow organically rather than forcing them to meet predetermined expectations. When both partners feel seen and accepted for who they truly are, attraction and respect grow mutually. Practice, patience, and reciprocal effort. Healthy relationships develop through balanced effort and reciprocity. Patience is crucial. Allowing the relationship to evolve at a natural pace encourages mutual investment rather than one-sided pursuit. Pursuing someone should ideally be a shared experience, where both parties show interest, engage in communication, and invest emotionally. Reciprocal effort also involves reading and respecting signals from the other person. If interest is not returned, it is important to gracefully accept this and maintain self-respect rather than escalating pursuit. Recognizing when to step back demonstrates emotional maturity and respect for personal boundaries, which can paradoxically increase attraction by showing confidence and self-control. Build social networks and support systems. Expanding social connections beyond romantic interests enhances emotional health and increases chances of meeting compatible partners. Engaging with diverse social circles provides opportunities for natural interactions and shared experiences. Strong social support also bolsters self-esteem and reduces loneliness, making individuals less likely to chase out of desperation. Participating in group activities, pursuing passions, and developing friendships create a rich life independent of romantic outcomes. This independence fosters attractiveness by highlighting a well-rounded and fulfilled individual rather than someone solely focused on gaining romantic approval. Embrace mindfulness and emotional regulation. Mindfulness practices help individuals remain grounded and aware of their emotions, reducing impulsivity and reactive chasing behavior. Emotional regulation techniques such as meditation, journaling, or therapy support healthier coping strategies for managing rejection or uncertainty. Being mindful helps recognize when desires for connection shift into obsessive or compulsive chasing, enabling course correction. A calm, balanced emotional state also enhances communication skills, making it easier to express feelings authentically without pressure or manipulation. Mindfulness fosters empathy and attentive listening, qualities that nurture connection and intimacy. Invest in mutual growth and shared experiences. Long-lasting attraction and relationship satisfaction are often rooted in shared growth and experiences. Engaging in activities together, exploring new interests, and supporting each other's ambitions build camaraderie and deepen emotional bonds. Instead of chasing, partners grow side by side with mutual respect and encouragement. Summary: what works better than chasing is a holistic approach centered on self-improvement, authenticity, patience, and respect for boundaries. Developing confidence through personal growth attracts partners genuinely interested in who one is rather than what one can provide. Building authentic connections through openness and reciprocal effort fosters emotional intimacy. Expanding social networks enriches life and reduces unhealthy chasing impulses, while mindfulness supports emotional balance and communication skills. Finally, investing in shared experiences and mutual growth creates a foundation for lasting and meaningful relationships. These approaches create healthier, more attractive behaviors that promote sustainable romantic connections built on mutual desire, respect, and emotional fulfillment. This mindset allows individuals to engage with others from a place of strength rather than neediness, paving the way for genuine love and partnership. Building healthier and more successful romantic relationships works better through self-development, authentic connection, and mutual respect rather than persistent chasing. The following approaches foster attraction, strengthen bonds, and support emotional well-being. Focus on self-development and confidence. Developing confidence through investing in personal growth is foundational. Pursuing goals, practicing hobbies, improving physical and mental health all increase self-respect, which naturally radiates as attractiveness. Confidence signals emotional stability and independence, traits that attract others more than neediness or desperation. When self-worth is internal, anxiety about approval decreases, leading to healthier, balanced relationship dynamics. Cultivate authentic connections. Authenticity is key to building meaningful relationships. This involves being genuine, open, and vulnerable, focusing on truly understanding the other person without pretense or pressure. Allowing connections to grow organically and respecting boundaries fosters intimacy and trust. Authenticity communicates respect for oneself and the other, deepening attraction. Practice: patience and reciprocity. Patience in letting relationships evolve at a natural pace supports balanced effort and mutual interest. Giving space to reciprocal feelings rather than forcing attention signals emotional maturity and respect. Accepting disinterest gracefully preserves self-esteem and often increases attractiveness by embodying confidence and self-control, builds social networks and support. Expanding social connections beyond romantic pursuits enriches life and decreases the impulse to chase out of loneliness or insecurity. Participation in group activities and friendships adds meaning and broadens opportunities for meeting compatible partners naturally. A robust social support system strengthens self-esteem and emotional health. Embrace mindfulness and emotional regulation. Mindfulness and emotional regulation reduce impulsive chasing behavior